greatest demonstration for freedom.
On Talk Sport. Let's hear from Aaron in Belfast. Aaron, fire away.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Hello, George. I just wanted to make the point. Last year, the Iranian president called for Israel to be wiped off the map.
Well, first of all, Aaron, you're obviously not a regular listener here, and you're obviously not a reader beyond Israeli propaganda. But let me, before you get into your stride, just tell you that that is a complete falsehood, as every professor of Farsi from Tel Aviv to Tokyo has already testified. No such comments have ever been made by Ahmadinejad. Ahmadinejad was quoting Ayatollah Khomeini. You remember him? He's the man whom Israel was supplying weapons to during the Iran-Contra affair. He said that like communism and fascism, Zionism would disappear as an ideology from the pages of time. That, whether you agree with it or not, is not calling to wipe Israel off the face of the map. So please, don't use the airwaves here to peddle now discredited false propaganda. Now continue.
Right, my second point is Iran hosted the Holocaust Denial Conference. Now, both of these points, in my opinion, basically means Iran is an irresponsible country who does not deserve the right to have nuclear weapons.
So, we've now established that you tried to mislead us with your first point, and your second point is, therefore, that irresponsible countries should not be allowed to have nuclear weapons. So let's deal with just two of those. Let's deal with Israel, whose fate greatly concerns you, and let's deal with Pakistan. Pakistan and Israel have huge mountains of nuclear weapons. The Pakistani government is a military dictatorship which may fall at any time and be replaced by God knows whom, who will immediately have their finger on the nuclear trigger. Yet not only was Pakistan not stopped from developing a nuclear bomb, it was encouraged, allowed, and then rewarded for doing so by the United States of America. Israel has launched wars against all of its neighbors, occupied territory of all of its neighbors, and is in breach of more United Nations Security Council resolutions than all the other countries of the world put together. But these two countries are allowed to have nuclear weapons because they're responsible, are they, Aaron?
Yes, I agree with that, and there's nothing we can really do about that now. However, in my opinion, we should try our best to halt Iran's nuclear development program.
Halt it just and leave Israel in possession of hundreds of nuclear weapons. How convenient. Betty in Brighton. Betty.
Oh, thank you, George.
You're welcome.
Last night, Michael Mendoza said when someone rang in that Israel had been threatened with demolition by the Iranians. Well, I've got friends who are Iranians. I mean, I'm totally English and Scottish and Irish a mixture. But the thing is, I like them, and I think ordinary people are ordinary people. And I texted into Mike Mendoza and said, oh, I didn't know that Israel had been threatened like that. And really, it isn't true, but I didn't hear your explanation fully. Could you repeat it, please?
Yeah, I will do. Mike has been inadvertently misled, as we say in Parliament, by the Israeli propaganda. This is a canard which flew around the world and was propelled by the Israel propaganda machine, but which has now been completely discredited. Every single Farsi professor in the world, including those in Tel Aviv, have confirmed that no such remarks were ever made. There was no mention of map. There was no mention of Israel being wiped off a non-existent map. There was no mention of the people living in Israel being wiped off any non-existent map. And of course, Betty, the banal point which needs to be made is that the only country that has been wiped off the map is not Iran or Israel, but Palestine. Go and look at an atlas and see if you can find a country called Palestine, whose millions of people have been scattered to the four winds as refugees.
George Galloway on Talk Sport.